Have you ever wondered how your life would be if you made different choices? Have you ever felt an insatiable curiosity about the roads not taken and how they could have shaped your destiny? And what about those moments of déjà vu where you swear you've lived this moment before? What if those moments were actually glimpses of your future self from another universe trying to reach out to you? This is a story about such an extraordinary encounter that changed my perspective on life forever. One particularly stressful day, everything seemed to go wrong. I woke up late because my alarm didn't go off, rushed to get ready, and discovered that my car wouldn't start. By the time I managed to get to work using public transportation, I was hours late, and my boss wasn't understanding. I lost my job that day. On my way home, I received a call informing me that a close friend had been in a serious accident. The weight of the world seemed to crash down on me all at once. Unable to sleep for days, my mind was a whirlwind of anxiety, grief, and existential dread. In a desperate attempt to find some peace, I took some medication to help me sleep, hoping for a respite from the relentless turmoil in my mind. That night I drifted into a deep sleep, and it was then that I had the most extraordinary dream. It felt so real, more vivid than any other dream I had ever experienced. I found myself in a futuristic cityscape filled with towering buildings and bustling with people. The sky was a brilliant shade of blue and the air was filled with the hum of advanced technology. Despite the beauty and marvel around me, I felt a deep sense of anticipation, as if something monumental was about to happen. As I wandered through the city, I saw a figure in the distance, standing confidently amidst the throngs of people. The figure was familiar yet different, radiating a presence that drew me in. As I approached, I realized that I was looking at an older version of myself. The realization sent a shiver down my spine. "Hello," I said, my voice trembling with a mix of fear and curiosity. The older version of me smiled, a smile that was both reassuring and knowing. "Hello," he replied, his voice calm and steady. "I've been waiting for you." He told me his story, how he pursued a career in music, defying our parents' wishes. He achieved moderate success, but the road was fraught with setbacks and heartache. He lived with passion, but often felt the sting of rejection and doubt. "Life isn't easy," he said, a hint of sadness in his voice. "But I've learned to find joy in the journey, to embrace the highs and lows. Every note I play, every song I write, is a piece of my soul. But the rejections, the times when the music isn't enough, those are hard." I was now in a grand library, surrounded by towering shelves filled with books. Sitting at a desk, immersed in a book, was yet another version of myself. This version looked content but also carried a quiet sadness. "What path did you take?" I asked him. "I chose academia," he said, closing his book and looking up at me. "I've dedicated my life to knowledge and discovery, but it came at a cost. I sacrificed relationships and personal happiness for the pursuit of intellectual fulfillment. The joy of discovery, the eureka moments, they're unparalleled. But the nights alone, the missed family gatherings, those leave a mark." I found myself in a small, cozy home. The warmth of a fireplace filled the room, and I saw another version of myself surrounded by family, children laughing and playing, a loving partner by his side. He looked up and smiled warmly. "Welcome. I chose a simpler life, focused on family and personal contentment. It's been fulfilling in ways that success and ambition could never provide. The bedtime stories, the family dinners, the love shared, they are priceless. But sometimes I wonder about the dreams I set aside for this life, the ambitions left unfulfilled, the paths not taken. I could see the joy in his eyes, but also a flicker of longing. Sometimes I wonder about the paths I didn't take, the dreams I set aside for this life, but I wouldn't trade it for anything." As I stood there, surrounded by these different versions of myself, I realized that every choice, every path, came with its own set of challenges and rewards. There was no perfect life, no easy path. Each version of myself had faced struggles and found joy in different ways. The future me stepped forward, his presence grounding me. Do you see now? Life is not about finding the perfect path, but about embracing the journey with all its ups and downs. Your choices matter, but it's your attitude and resilience that shape your destiny." I nodded, a profound sense of understanding washing over me. "Thank you," I said to all of them. The next day, I awoke with a renewed sense of purpose and a heart full of gratitude. The burdens that had weighed me down felt lighter, and I knew that I was not alone. I carried the memory of that encounter with me, a beacon of hope and guidance to steer me through life's challenges. I dedicated myself to making thoughtful choices, being kind to others, and pursuing my passions. I sought to spread the light I had found, knowing that in doing so, I was shaping a brighter future for myself and those around me. Meeting the different versions of myself had been the most transformative experience of my life. It reminded me of the power within myself to shape my destiny and the importance of living with intention and love. And with each decision, each act of kindness, and each dream pursued, I knew I was on the path to becoming the person I was meant to be. The days following my extraordinary encounter with different versions of myself were filled with reflection and newfound purpose. I embraced the lessons I had learned and set about making choices that would lead to a fulfilling and meaningful life. But just as I began to find peace and contentment, an unforeseen conflict emerged, threatening to unravel everything. One evening as I sat in my cozy living room, a sudden intense feeling of déjà vu washed over me. The air seemed to shimmer, and before I could react, 3 figures materialized before me. It was the other versions of myself from the dream, the musician, the scholar, and the family man. Their expressions were not friendly, they were filled with a mix of jealousy and resentment. "We need to talk," said the musician, his eyes narrowing as he looked around my home. "What's going on?" I asked, my heart pounding. "Why are you here?" The scholar stepped forward, his gaze cold and analytical. "We've been observing you. You seem to have found a balance in your life that we never could. It's not fair." The family man, usually the warmest of the 3, looked at me with a sadness that cut deep. "We gave up so much, and yet, you seem to have it all." Before I could respond, they attacked. The room erupted into chaos as we fought, our different skills and experiences clashing violently. The musician was quick and agile, using his rhythmic movements to dodge and strike. The scholar fought with calculated precision, analyzing my every move. The family man, fueled by a deep emotional strength, was relentless and powerful. I defended myself as best as I could, drawing on the lessons I had learned from my future self. But it was clear that this battle wasn't just physical, it was a clash of ideals and regrets, each of us fighting for validation and understanding. "Stop!" I shouted, trying to break through the fury. "This isn't the answer. Fighting won't change our pasts or bring us peace." "By finding meaning in our choices," I said, desperation in my voice. "By understanding that every path has its struggles and rewards. We need to accept our pasts and focus on what we can do now to create a better future." The scholar hesitated, his analytical mind processing my words. "But how do we move forward when we're haunted by what could have been?" "By forgiving ourselves," I replied, my voice softer. "We made the best decisions we could with the knowledge we had. We can still find joy and purpose in our lives." The family man, his eyes filled with tears, stepped back. "I want to believe that. I want to find peace." A silence fell over the room as we each reflected on my words. Slowly the tension began to dissipate, and the anger in their eyes softened. "I'm sorry," the musician said quietly. "I let my jealousy cloud my judgment." The scholar nodded, a hint of sadness still in his gaze. "It's difficult to let go of regrets, but perhaps you're right. Maybe we can find a way to coexist with our choices." The family man, his expression weary but hopeful, looked at me with a newfound respect. "Thank you for reminding us that it's never too late to seek happiness." We stood together, a sense of understanding and unity forming between us. The conflict had revealed our deepest fears and desires, but it had also shown us the possibility of healing and growth. As the other versions of myself began to fade, returning to their own realities, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. The journey wasn't over, but I knew that I wasn't alone. We were all connected, each of us striving to find our way in the world. And as I moved forward, I carried with me the lessons of that night, knowing that every choice, every struggle, and every moment of grace was a step towards becoming the person I was meant to be,